What's going on, everybody? Hey, time for another one of these live streaming with shower door pros. And I'm talking pros. All of the big names are here. So, some names I don't even know. I mean, I'm seeing some new people showing up. I see Bobby here. Bobby, I don't think you've ever been on the stream before, have you?
No, not on the stream. I've watched every one of them that y'all ever
Nice. Well,
did, but
tell us a
I've
little
never
bit
been on.
about yourself, where you're from, the name of your shop,
Welcome.
stuff like that.
Appreciate it. Bobby Folks. I'm the owner of Preferred Glass DFW out of Dallas, Texas. We're a residential glass shop. We try to stick to high-end custom builds. Don't like dealing with trap builders or anything like that. We do showers, mirrors, windows, wine rims, handrails, any back painted glass, anything special that you can come up with. We'll research it and see if we can get it in for you.
Nice. So you like a challenge, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I like that too.
Like the fun stuff.
Yeah. When people get in touch, it's like, hey, I called every shop in town. They say they can't do this. Can you do it?
Yep. I'm the person that they call it. That nobody wants to do it. Well, hang on. Let me see what I can figure out for you.
I see Keith smiling.
I like Keith.
We're singing
I watch
here,
him all the time. Got him friends on LinkedIn and stuff. Yep. I'm trying to learn from him. Trying all those TikToks and stuff.
Right on. Right on. Well, hey, who else do we have here for the first time? Anybody? I think everybody here I've seen at least once before. Well, anyway, hey, I was just thinking today. We've talked about this a couple of times in the past, but it's probably more relevant now than ever before, and that's just supply chain. What's happening as far as getting the products you need, the hardware, the glass. Are you able to get everything that you need? Do you have everything in stock? Is there anybody here who's just like not having any problems with supply line?
I think we all are.
Oh, Keith, you're on mute, so be sure to unmute yourself.
I haven't been having any issues.
Out of the room.
Well, Keith kind of makes his own stuff, so it's like if he's out of something, it's his own fault. No.
We still buy float glass. We still buy hardware. We still buy aluminum channel, a lot of it. But even though there's supply and demand, I've said it before, I'll say it again, nobody's used the word outage. And so I believe that because making your product or selling you the product has the ability to pick and choose who gets the product first. And I think it's worked for us. It begins with the soft skills. I mean, we develop really kick-ass relationships. That was kind of part of the reason why I started all those videos. I used to just send them to people one-off because I was too afraid to put them on the social. But what ended up happening is I ended up building up these relationships. And I know we're not the number one buyer of these products, but yet they keep sending us. We just don't have any fulfillment issues. And I really believe in my gut, it's because of the relationships we have with them. And that was long before social media was around.
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliant. I mean, I'm having a similar experience to that, and I'm like super like a micro size, so it's definitely not the quantity of stuff that I buy, but I try to be really good to my vendors. I try to be really kind, really polite, really, grateful. Let them know, make their job as easy as possible for them. So I want it to be a pleasure for them to do business with me. And yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll send over. I've gotten away from like asking my vendors to quote stuff for me. I figured out what it costs and I just order. So I just send order. So it's not like they're not getting a bunch of quote requests from me. Sometimes I need to do that. Sometimes I need to figure it out because it's a little bit out of my wheelhouse. But for the most part, I know about what things cost, so I can just send the orders over and they're filling them for me. And when they've got a problem, or like when they make a mistake, I'm really forgiving, and I'm really accepting. I'm like, hey, I don't rub it in, and because sometimes I make a mistake and I want them to be, the same way with me. So, and I find, yeah, a little bit of that goes a long way. And they're telling me, yeah, it's going to be a while. This is out of stock. It's going to, there's a little bit of a back order on this or that. But I'm sure that there are other people who are not getting the same kind of service I am.
I found that people are willing to break company rules if they feel like they're being respected by the other person on the phone. I know I've gotten someone else's product before because they wanted to help me. I almost triggered that reciprocity effect, because think about, is there any people from Sierra Lawrence or FHC on this call?
I don't think
okay,
so.
let's hypothetically say,
It does get recorded, so watch yourself.
Yeah.
let's use one of the big hardware suppliers. They're getting inundated with every mom and pop shop and business in the country. And I bet you, if you listen to every one of those phone calls, it doesn't start off with saying, hi, Mr. FHE, or hi, Mrs. Sierra Lawrence. I'm sure you're having a difficult day right now. Nobody gives a shit how they're doing. Actually, we all bitch behind their back. And a lot of times, rightfully so. That being said, when I get on the phone with them, and I don't even say who I am, so I don't use that unless I have to keep that in the back. And I would say, oh, it sounds like you have a tough day. Yeah, people are calling me. I can't imagine. I wish I could be there to take you out for a drink right now. And they're like, oh my God, and they start laughing. I say, how much trouble would I get you in if I asked for a set of brushed brass hinges? Now, I never asked for brushed brass hinges. It's almost like, you give the illusion of control. And I'm telling you, 99% of the time, I'm getting what we need because I'm preserving their autonomy, and I'm not trying to motherfucker, give me, or, pardon me, give me that, or I'm going to the other company. I hate you guys. I'm leaving a bad Google review. That's a short bag, because I'm going to need to call them again tomorrow for another problem. Mm-hmm. And so I found over the years this has just been the easiest, least cost effective, most rapport building way to get, somebody to capitulate with, a demand like that. It really, where I'm telling you, the soft skills are big 2mm shift. And the other thing, Shannon, where are you from again?
Oregon, Portland area.
No, but what company?
Oh, DT Glass.
Okay, good. This whole supply and demand issue with Sierra Lawrence and FHC, I've used it as an opportunity for them to earn our business and to help drive the price down, because they're both selling the same thing. Each one wants it's like the Hatfield and McCoys. They just want to destroy each other. And here I'm the benefactor of it. Let them fight for our business. And so I would, if you got big jobs or project jobs, I'd get on the phone, with that nice soft tone, and I'd ask my sales rep, how much trouble would I get you into trying and beat this price I'm getting from FHC? And you'd be surprised. I'm telling you, as a tempering company, there's 5 or 6 price levels that can be had if they want to. And you can get to it. You just got to, know what buttons to pull, strings to pull.
Well, I must be a complete asshole because my shower board has about 35 showers missing something right now. So I must not have the tone or the whatever it is. I must be missing it. So yeah, I'm missing hardware like crazy.
Came to the right place, Billy. We're going to teach you. We're going to teach you how to smooth your.
Billy, you'd be surprised what you can get away with if you watch how you say something. And you're telling, this is coming from somebody who's got a foul mouth and, says what I want to say. But in the heat of the moment, when I'm collaborating with somebody, the way we say something and the words that we pick have a massive influence on the way that they act. I can tell you this,
Yeah, I mean, I'm rarely talking to them at this point because most of it's digital. Until it gets to a point where I've got to call in, but I'm on the other end. I'm definitely missing stuff all over the place. It's one little thing here or there that's holding us up. It's, a volume issue too. So So that plays into it. But yeah, I've learned the same thing. My problem with me is being a little more handcuffed by who we're accessing stuff from. So I don't have, I guess, the pull, because I've been pulling from the same place for so long, and it's the same wheel.
I couldn't stop thinking about this since you said it last time, and you remember you have a choice.
I know.
They put you in a little box, but you don't have to stay in the box. No,
that's the ideal situation, is to push hard enough to get out of the box. But it's a gradual push. It's hard to make it into a big push, but it's a gradual.
It sounds like you're in an uncomfortable situation, but I think we can all agree when we're uncomfortable, that means we're growing.
That's the idea.
Yeah, and it's motivating too. Being uncomfortable motivates you, man. I mean, there's nothing like when you're comfortable. Who cares? You know, you don't need to change anything. But when the pain comes, that's when you start going, oh man, what do I need to do different?
I think the human being only performs at its optimal potential when you're pushed about 4 or 5% outside. I mean, look at every situation you've been in. Everybody says, you know, I perform at my highest when my back's up against the ropes. Well, no shit, because you don't have a choice. And, you know, so you get real dialed in. I love that. I try and look for that every day. That, you know, that's what a great feeling.
Yeah, it's kind of like Bobby was saying earlier, you know, just like, just love to have that challenging job come and something that's going to stretch me, something, you know, that nobody else, you know, is willing to try. At least I used to be like that. Not like that as much anymore.
Oh yeah.
So I was going to mention our supply chain issue back in June 6th, 2021, to be exact, because I was on the phone and I get a call from our glass distributor, and our distributor is owned by other glass fabrication plants. We don't have a distributor around here that's not owned by someone. And so they called up and said, yeah, we don't think there's going to be enough glass for us to sell to other people, so we're keeping it all ourselves. And I said, wow, okay, you're telling us that we are no longer going to get any glass from you. And of course, my mind instantly runs to, you know, we're bankrupt, we're out of business, we're, you know, the whole thing. My son turns 18, forget college. So I'm sure I was just white and I could barely even speak. And I stopped myself from, you know, screaming profanity at him. But then we, of course, called the other glass distributor, and, you know, who was a fabricator, and they're like, same thing, we'll send you 3 cases. So I gathered as many cases as I could from as many people as I could. I had about 12 weeks supply. So I looked at who our top customers were and planned on, so I just sold to our top 25, and I bought from other outside vendors, had them fabricate our glass for us like we used to before we had our own plant. And then, so that bought us some time. And then I had to go and search for an overseas distributor. Never done it before, never got a container, didn't have the facility or the ability to unload a container. Got that ordered luckily, and, you know, told my husband and our operations manager, you guys have 5 months to figure out how to get glass out of this container. They started that search. I think we're in a better place now. We've now received 6 containers of glass, and some of the time I feel like I'm a grandma coming out of the Depression, because I want a year's worth of glass on hand. I've got 3 months worth of chrome, brush nickel, matte black, oil rub bronze. Someone says brush brass, and I say, that's your problem. I got chrome. But I am just, I don't know. I feel like I really went through something there. I feel like I hit bottom really fast, and, you know, coming out of it, but that was unbelievable. And, you know, as nice as I wanted to be, I mean, I called the people. They've told us before, if you ever feel like selling your company, call me first. So I'm like, hey, you know, you want a good relationship with me, right? And they're like, we just can't do it. We just have to take care of ourselves. And yeah, it was tough, but like I said, I'm feeling pretty stocked now and better for it. Kind of hundreds of thousands of dollars in inventory better, but yeah, it all works out in the end somehow.
Yeah, thing is, glass keeps really well.
Yeah, there's no expiration date.
Long shelf life, so it's a smart investment.
Yeah.
And just like we were talking about, just that uncomfortable situation has you doing things, trying things that you otherwise wouldn't have, taking chance, taking risks, reaching out, sticking your neck out, and I mean, we all know that's what makes it happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Chris, let me add to that if I could.
Please.
Shannon, you did that and it made you probably a better company and you probably got better margins
For sure.
at the end of the day. So you learned something from it. But you should be able to use that as a strategic mechanism so that you would combat a big boy putting you out of business intentionally.
Yeah.
In other words, think about, I mean, you got into this situation because of circumstances out of your control. But what would happen if a bigger boy was nefarious enough that want to put you out of business for whatever reason? They wanted to buy your company at a discount or whatever. And that was a lot of the train of thought that went through us when we decided to get into manufacturing. That was one of the strategic points, is that we didn't want to be beholden to a big company like that could artificially raise the price on us so that we were not competitive with the other people in the area, or they would withhold our deliveries, or a number of other things that could have happened. So that was another thing that played into it. And we used it as a strategic mechanism to strengthen our business.
And you're talking about hardware when you say that, right?
No, I was talking about glass manufacturing. I mean, we were buying glass from, God, I used Old Castle, I used Guardian, then I used Coral out of Tuscaloosa. I always say that they were the best of the worst. And, we built our business with them. But, as it turned out, Coral got bought out by Old Castle. And at some point, a big boy could come in, and any of the guys that aren't manufacturing their own glass or getting the glass directly from a float supplier could run into that situation if they got to the point where they were a threat or a nuisance to one of the bigger groups. So what you've learned is going to be so valuable for your business, and you're profitable. You're more profitable than buying from that distributor. It's almost like you're saying, you know what? You put me in that position. I'm better off for it.
Yep.
There's a book out by Damon John called The Power of Broke. Damon John, you probably recognize him from Shark Tank. And it's when you're almost down to zero and you're scrambling, just what the human mind can do when you have to scramble, if you have that entrepreneurship mindset, and then you're better off for it. And they're just life lessons that you learn when you're forced against it. And that's really powerful. And you got into that situation and look where you are now.
Yeah.
And you didn't do it on purpose. You didn't do it as a strategy to make yourself better. You got into it because you were defending yourself and you made yourself stronger.
Yeah. So, well, and the other guys didn't do it on purpose either. I mean, they were scared, and, they were taking care of themselves because they were scared. But I did, I got off the phone and I'm like, what was I thinking? Buying glass from someone who is a fabrication plant. It was just, I'm like, that was just stupid. I mean, it made sense. I had good reason to do it. But yeah, I found myself going, where else am I, tied to people that, don't have my best interest at heart, which is pretty much like the world. I mean, no one cares about you as much as you care about you. But yeah, you really got to evaluate all of those.
Now you think about the situation that Billy Britt's in, because he and I have had these talks before. He's buying his glass from a fabricator and he's getting his hardware as a kit, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of feels beholden to them if he orders glass to get the hardware from them also. Not that he has to, but I think they depend on him buying the hardware. But then when he goes to order glass with a different cutout or something different, they give him a hard time about it. Well, that's not what our software says. Well, they're not caring for you. They're caring for them. They're covering their own tail. They don't know how you're installing it or what you're installing it with. They just know that it doesn't fit into their software program. So we'd all be better off if we have the opportunity to, carve our own destiny, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of like when you go to measure a shower stall. Where do the plumbers put the toilet? They put it on the same wall with the shower head because that's what's easy for them.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's what we're going to do. I mean, we're going to do what's best for us most of the time, unless somebody intervenes. Yeah.
They're really good lessons right here, though. I mean, I know I'm talking from experience, but guys that are growing their business, these are really hot topics that they have to look at. Is it important to go out to the supplier and buy a whole bunch of hardware and keep it in stock and buy your glass separately and don't depend on them to give you these kits? Get it yourself, inventory it yourself. I mean, FHC and CRL are really doing a battle with each other, and you could be the beneficiary of that. Just like Keith said, let them work against each other, but do it for your benefit. Don't you make it for their benefit. They should be doing it for your benefit.
That's kind of what I've been doing and stuff. I use 3 different suppliers, and all the cutouts for the hardware are basically like CRL. So I'll get with Portals and say, do you have anything equivalent to this? I have another supplier named Waterfall Bath and Closures that's local. If none of them have matte black, satin brass, brushed bronze, or anything like that, then I'll get brushed nickel hardware, something that's easy to get. Then I'll take it down to a powder coating company or a plating company, and I'll go get it powder coated or plated to get it to match as close as I can, just to get the shower done for them and stuff.
Yeah.
That's just things I've been doing to get jobs done.
That's right. That's good. We were talking about that a few weeks ago. Some of the suppliers, you can buy the hardware unfinished, or what they call raw brass. That saves you that step of stripping either a PVD off of it if you can. Some of the PVD is not even strippable, but you can buy raw brass and then get it plated to what you want.
Bill, can you get it unassembled so that when you give it to them to have finished, that it's already in pieces?
If you have a great relationship with your vendor, you can, of course. But
I have to take everything apart.
Most cases, no, you're going to take it apart and you're going to get grease all over you. And when you put it back together, you got to make sure you use the marine grease and put it back together
Sure.
right. But if you have a great relationship with your vendor and you can order them as parts, I don't see why not.
Okay. And
Yeah.
can you get them from Sarah Lawrence or FHC that way?
I haven't.
I've never asked.
I can't say that, but you can ask. Yeah.
I haven't got it that way from Sarah Lawrence.
You can buy all the parts individually on their website. So I'm almost certain you can, because then it comes without all the marine grease and everything, all that shit on it.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Yeah. Again, that relationship thing, I mean, if they like you, if you're a good customer, and think about your customers, right? I mean, you have probably contractors that you do business with. You have contractors that you love to do business with. Then you've got other contractors
that you don't want to do business.
True.
Right. So when they call, it's like, oh yeah, this guy, man, he's always in a hurry. He's it's always, can you do it quicker? And then when the check is always late, and then when I show up to the job, or my guys show up to the job, there's going to, they're not going to make space for us. They're not going to get out of our way. There's going to be, you're going to have to ask people to move their trucks so that we can get in the driveway.
Have you been hanging around my shop?
Guys painting in the bathroom.
Or they have everything stored in the shower stall.
Yeah. Everything's stored in the shower stall. They've got no love for you. I mean, how well are you going to take care of that guy as compared to the guy who does all that for you and is friendly and is polite and is like really acts as though he appreciates you? I mean, maybe he doesn't appreciate you at all, but he acts like he does.
Mhm.
Goes a long way.
Sure does. Yeah.
You know, I always say the business is a team, and your team has got to be your supplier, your customer, and your employees. All three of you have to work together.
Mm-hmm.
The supplier is a big deal in your supply chain. And again, just like he said before, you've got to make those relationships happen, because it's not just one time and you need a job. It could be 2 weeks from now, another big job. They've got to be as much part of your team as your advertising agency or whatever else you use.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's got to work together for the common goal.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a glass supplier that takes really, really good care of me. And, if I've got a problem, they just fix it. And I've had suppliers before where it was like a piece of glass comes in and it's like made wrong. I mean, they did the wrong hinge cutout or put it in the wrong place or something like that. And get in touch with them. It's like, hey, yeah, this piece of glass came in, it's fabbed wrong. And they're like, oh, well, they want to come and pick it up and inspect it to see if I'm telling them the truth, that they really did, make it wrong, And then so they'll, make arrangements to come pick it up, take it back to the shop. And then it's like, within a day or two, then I hear back, okay, yeah, we're going to remake it. And then they invoice me for it. And then they invoice me for the remake. And then, so they were going to credit me for the original one because that's the way they do their books. And like a lot of times, if I'm not paying attention, that first one doesn't get taken off. So I'm on the phone, talking to accounts receivable, asking them to actually give me the credit for the wrong thing that they made. I mean, I've really had relationships with suppliers like this. And my current supplier is like, I send them an email and say, hey, this is wrong. And they're making a new one and they're trying to get it out to me the next day. And they send me an invoice for $0, for the remake. And man, I've had times where it was like a couple weeks later and I'm contacting them. It's like, oh man, it's not until we're ready to do the job. And I realize that something's wrong. And I'm calling them like, they're never going to credit me for this. I mean, it's been 2 weeks and they do, because that's the kind of relationship we have. Because at the same time, sometimes I'll get a piece of glass and it'll have a little scratch in it. And I'll send an email and say, hey, there's a little scratch in this glass. I think I can sell it. But I'm just letting you know there's a little scratch. And if they reject it, I'm going to be coming back to tell you about it. And a lot of times I do sell those because it's near the bottom or whatever. I mean, they don't notice that it's something small. But little things like that, they remember. They remember that I'm not just trying to rake them over the coals every chance I get. We're on a team. It's like Bill said. I mean, if you can get that perspective of these guys are on my team, this is part of my team. It's not just, the guys in my shop. It's the guys, at my supplier's shop. It's the customer as part of the team. Get everybody on board. We're all working together. The general contractor, the other subs, I mean, if you teach your guys to treat the other subs like they're on your team, it's amazing what they'll do for you, man. They'll go to work for you. They'll work for free for you. I mean, it's incredible.
Sounds like your old vendor was Glass Fab.
What's that?
was the old relationship Glass Fab?
That does that sound like Glass Fab to you?
It does. Yeah, we've been having some issues with them. I don't know. I know, considering the times and stuff, but we were dealing with the exact same issue, unfortunately.
Where are you located?
Watsonville. I was actually looking for you last time, but I think you're out at dinner. You had a hot date, I heard last time.
No, last time I had a dog I had to take care of.
No. But yeah, we're out in Watsonville.
And what's your company?
Central Coast Windows.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I deal with Glass Fab all the time, and
yeah.
And when I order a shower door, I send all my own cutout templates.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's a problem, I put in the cutout template right next to the glass, take a picture of it, and send it to Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And they take care of it.
That's good. Yeah, I think when we had issues with remakes, a lot of times it was either the product was damaged and then they'll just send us a new piece and it's already And for some reason, they would take a while to send an acknowledgement. And then at that point, we didn't even know we were being invoiced for a new piece. And I was like, well, we just wanted to let you know, kind of like what you did, Chris, just like, hey, this is here, just letting you know. And then they would send us a new piece and we were kind of up Schitt's Creek already. But they did that a couple times, unfortunately. So, but yeah,
I have a good relation with Glass Fab, and
that's good.
And like I got a piece came in. Well, I had a 3/8 piece and it was bowed, and they're remaking it.
Good.
And so some stuff came in the other day, and I had another piece. So I just put the level on it. And I could stick an 1/8 inch, setting block between the level and the glass. And I told Jose, I'm not taking this. Put it back on the truck.
Only an 1/8 inch of bow? That's amazing.
Only an 1/8 inch. Yeah, right.
What do you guys allow for your tolerances from your supplier on the width and on the height? Do they give you like a +1/8, -1/8, or
For
plus or
sizes?
minus a 16th? Yeah. So if you send in, you want a 28-inch door, will you accept 28 and a 16th? Would you accept 27 15/16?
Well, yeah, because they have tolerances we have to work with.
Well, what are the tolerances, and are they dictating it, or are you dictating it to them?
They are.
They are dictating it.
Why? Why can't you dictate it to them?
You can.
good.
I mean,
Yeah.
you may have to pay a little more.
Well, I don't know if that's ever happened. I mean, we get a do not exceed or must hold sizes for certain situations, and we make them aware of it. Now, for the average, if it's a door and panel and it's going in a channel or a clamp, and you've got that little bit of play, we can take it maybe minus a 16th, but we don't want to add. We've already made our deductions. We don't want the 3 pieces of glass that are going all in line. If each one is a 16th big, it's not going to work.
Well,
So
yeah.
we have we'll accept a minus 16th, but 0 on the plus side.
Well, that's just like going out and trying to put in a door and panel where one is not right. Well, can you put the one in without the other? Says no, because I don't know what the doors, what the tolerances are when they come back.
See, that's the problem.
Is the replacement going to be right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing too.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and if it's one panel, I think it's pretty standard. 1/8 of an inch, plus or minus, is what they.
Is it standard to be a little light on your payment when you send it in for the door too, or?
Yeah.
Right, plus or minus what, $100?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's just 100. It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can make it work.
Yeah, you get 4 panels, and that $100 each panel adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother calls the accounting office over there. You want us to pay your bill? Why don't you set stuff at right? We'll put it in and collect our money.
That doesn't preserve autonomy. I like that.
Seems fair.
You do that when you hang up the phone.
I guess the point that I was making is you don't actually have to be at a whim of what they are. You can tell them what you need. You are the customer. I think some guys are either afraid to say it or didn't know that they had the ability to dictate that they won't take it if it's more than a 16th over the size.
I mean, I've done with our people who do our tabletops and stuff, and they'll do it, but I've never done it with the shower doors.
Yeah, but what do you think if you did do it? Would they go along with you or give you pushback?
That I don't know.
I did, before years ago when I was kind of starting up, I was really picky like that, and they just charged me more. They're like, hey, yeah, we can get it to you within a 16 every time, but you're going to have to pay, a little bit more, so it's like, get the very best price like that. And in those days, it was like my measuring wasn't, I've improved. I mean, I've improved my skills over the years, so it's not as critical. I can, but it used to be, man, the slightest little mistake, and I was like up the creek.
Sure.
But yeah,
Chris,
you're right,
for
Bill.
the, well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, Bill. Yeah, Bill's right. I mean, you get to negotiate your own terms.
For the kind of like what you're talking about with the scratches, do you ever try to buff them out yourself?
Yeah.
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 As much as possible.
Yeah.
I don't. I can't because because of my, it's just me.
Yeah.
My time is like worth like too much to try to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
but if you've got a crew, you got, especially if you got like a shop guy who's in the shop anyways, I mean, that's a perfect thing for someone like that to do.
Mine depends on the manufacturer. So I do deal with different manufacturers. So if it's somebody that will work with me all the time, whether it's my screw up, their screw up, and they're easy to deal with in that aspect, I'll typically try to make their stuff work more. If it's someone, because I have some manufacturers that have a hard 48-hour rule. If we're outside of 48 hours, then we're gonna have to pay for the glass. I'm not gonna work with it. I'm gonna be more difficult to them because they're more difficult to me.
Sure.
So a new piece of glass, if it's any kind of blemish that I know has a chance of causing me a problem, I'm going to send it back to them because they want to be hard. That's their company policy. So my company policy is, well, your glass has to be perfect when it gets here. So,
sure.
But I work with those who work with me is kind of my thought on that part.
See that, Billy, I love that. You got to tell them your policy and make them understand because you are the customer. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, but there's a 2 millimeter shift on how you do it because there's people like me or Billy, if we get talked to a certain way on the other phone and be like, dude, here's something you can have a nice day. And so it's a short bag. You got to be careful how you say it. You can negotiate 100%. You got to be careful how you say it.
That's right.
I use the sales rep as my buffer when I deal with the bigger manufacturers that want to be hard on me because, I'm a mid-level player in their world. So I have a little pull, but not a lot. I use the sales rep as the buffer. So I'll be an asshole and then he can go calm them down and talk about how much glass we want to sell and that kind of thing. But the smaller folks that are like us that want to work with me, I can completely change that tone with them because they're going to be more on my side. I have one group that I love working with because I can call them and say, listen, we screwed up. This is completely our fault. And I've got a new piece of glass coming, 3 days later that's not at my charge. So I'm going to do everything I can to help them out as well and make their life easier and apologize and, create that relationship. But the big boys will say, most of us deal with them in some form or factor. The ones that, just got bought for the B word, they don't tend to bend very easily to the smaller guys like us. If I bring up tolerances to them, they might say they agree with me on the phone, but they're going to tell me to kick rocks when I get glass, which is why when their glass comes to me with issues, I tell them to kick rocks and take it back. So that's the difference. But that's why I'm always, like talking to Bill is I'm always looking for, okay, if I've got this problem, whether it be glass or hardware, whatever, what option do I have as a guy who's mid-level to fix the problem outside of that? And just keeping like an ear to the pavement all the time for any direction or options you can go to alleviate that. Because I am limited because I don't manufacture my own glass and I don't have 10 options to choose from. I have 3. So.
Well, I think manufacturing our own glasses helped us to be a little more understanding of the issues that we've seen from other people too, because we can get a panel through and it doesn't have a good edge on it. It didn't quite polish right. And the guy's going, if I run it again, it's going to be a 16th under. So I either throw it away or it's a 16th under. Luckily with us, we can look at the door and, make sure that we're not, under on both panels. So we're still good. But I mean, we've always tried to have some understanding with variability within the machinery and the equipment and just processing. So I don't know. I feel like if you have like this hard stand, like we're talking about people, treating us, treating them a certain way and everything. The moment I say, listen, you screwed up, I'm sick of your shit, the next thing I know, I screw something up. I mean, just karma or my own bad luck. But I try not to toe that hard line and try to at least understand.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So
Empathy is the best
Tim
tool you
mentioned
have.
like bow. What is the tolerance for warp and bow in a panel?
I thought the industry standard was an 1/8 inch over 6 feet or something like that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, over 6 foot. That's right.
Building code.
Depending on thickness of glass. So if you're talking about 3/8 glass, I think it's 1/8 inch over 6 feet.
And we've never
Yeah,
had
but
any
even though
trouble.
that sounds-
We never had any trouble sending it back too when we got one panel this way and the other panels the other way. They're only an 1/8 and an 1/8, but it's like, hey, come on.
At least bow them in the same direction, right?
Yeah.
If they're both the same way, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, we used to tell them that it was going to be a door and panel. So when you temper it, orientate them both the same way if they knew it. So when it went on the oven, if it did curve, they would both be in the same direction. But usually you're ordering glasses by the panels and you're not telling them which one they're mating up to. So in the factory, they have no idea. But if you tell them,
Yeah,
one
but
of
if they have an
two, if you do it together-
optimizer, even if you wanted to, it's going to go anywhere.
Yes, unless you ask them not to optimize it and be careful. I mean, that's something Whitaker taught me a long time ago when it's really crucial. He had that when the door was resting up a fixed panel. He would miter the panel and back miter the door so he would have pressure on it. And the 45s would overlay each other. And he would tell them they had to be tempered in the same orientation. I don't know if he paid extra for it, but it was an orientation thing.
Wow, that's a neat trick. Have them back miters with the door and the panel on like a 90-degree return.
Yeah. So no, not a 90-degree
No,
return.
straight in line.
Straight in line.
line.
Oh,
So
really?
Your panel's got a 45 and your door's got a back miter 45 and they overlay each other. So it swings out only, but then you take your offset hinges and apply the extra pressure to it. And you put closed cell foam tape down the black edge of the glass anyhow. It was black foam tape and it gave it a really nice seal, especially on steam showers.
I have never seen
I
that.
do that also.
That's a really good
It
idea.
looks good.
It looks really good.
If it's done right, it's actually nice. It feels
I got a question for tempering.
good when it goes up against it.
I got a question for tempering. If it's got a bow in it and you send it back, can they run it through again?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. They can retemper it. Yep.
Yeah.
I
That's
wouldn't though. If someone sent it back to me and I didn't know what had happened to that piece,
They
I would worry that I had already
won't, but they
tempered it
can.
twice, because going 3 times and you're running into potential problems. So if it had left my shop, I would not risk putting it back in my oven.
All right. So Shannon, let me ask you this. Are you SGCC certified?
No.
No. So you self-test.
Yeah.
So your little stamp on it says tempered.
Yes. But here's the
Tim.
thing. Did I already flip it and temper it again because it had a bow?
Right. If you were SGCC certified, you had to have a log of that panel
Yeah.
to know what happened to it.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons for it.
Well, and also, so I say I say I wouldn't temper a panel that had left and I didn't know anything about it, but really I'm talking, well, so I guess it'd be the same thing for fabrication. I know what happens to all of my panels because they stay with me, but I would worry, like, I don't know. I would worry about bringing something else in. It's just like, I wouldn't temper. So, someone's got some glass and they've fabricated it and they want me to just temper it. I wouldn't want to risk putting it through my oven because I don't know what that glass is. Now, that said, we do have
That's
a
a
very
difference,
close
yeah.
relationship with another shop, and we will temper their glass and they will temper ours, but we know them. I just don't know how to say, I worry about other people's glass.
Tim, how about this one? You can actually untemper a piece of glass if you're really good on the furnace. Real good. We watched a guy from Moppy when he set up ours, actually tempered one side by side and then brought the other one back through and untempered it, and we broke it. It broke like plate glass. And
Wow,
the first one we broke, and that one was tempered.
That's true. You can do that. You can untemper it and retemper it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So another question, when you temper, do you keep track of how much energy you use to temper the glass to make sure it's tempered properly?
Well, I don't know if their term energy is right. We know the temperatures. The oven has thermocouples inside, and there's a computer monitor that you're watching it, and you make sure that the glass arrives at the given temperature before it goes into quench. So it has to arrive at 1600 or 1400 degrees, depending on your thickness, throughout the whole glass. So the thermocouples are about 8 inches apart everywhere throughout the heating chamber, and it's sensing the temperature of that glass.
Yeah, because years ago, we had a company called Temp Glass, I think it was called, up in Oakland before, or Fremont before Oldcastle bought them. And they did their calcs and said there wasn't enough energy used to temper all the glass, so they recalled it all. But they ran that day.
Okay, so all I can think of is it wasn't getting all the way up to temperature to arrive at its temperature. They didn't have enough energy to get the heating coil. I don't know if they were using electric coils or they were doing gas.
This is a long time ago.
Yeah, and there's many ways of doing it.
Yeah.
How about that?
Good stuff, huh?
Learning stuff.
Yeah, that's good information.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting to have like a call like this and have a couple of different shop owners that are temperers, who do their own tempering, who can just sit here and just chat about that. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I tell you, when that guy, what Keith was talking about, when the guy from Moppy came in, this guy's world renowned at glass and tempering. It's just absolutely amazing. And he's putting the seminars at all the Ghana events. And I'm trying to look up this word that let me see if I can find it. And I never could say it right, but it's if you installed a shower door in somebody's bathroom and it just looks like it's, oh boy, it looks like it has streaks in it, almost like heat stains.
Mm-hmm.
You can put it back in the oven. Instead of putting it in straight, you put it in on an angle, and then you retemper it. It takes that distortion out of the glass, and it's called anthrosopy. Let me get the correct term, but it's very, very interesting. Yeah.
Who is that guy doing the untempering at your shop?
Well, that was oh God, he's from Moppy.
Our guy,
Julio, right, Keith?
Julio. He's also got the world record for the most cigarettes ever smoked in our factory.
What about the most espresso taken in a day?
Okay, so the term is anisotropic.
Yes.
Anisotropic, if you guys look that up. And we had a customer that the sun was coming through. It was a door notch panel return on a tub. There was a window next to it in the bathroom, and the sun hit it just right. And it was this distortion. And he thought it was heat stains. He thought it was a problem with the oven. And we took it out. We ran it back through the oven. But instead of laying it on the bad to go in like a regular rectangle would go direct into the oven. We put a kitty corner and sent the point of the corner in first. And it took away all the waves that he saw when we reinstalled it. And it had to do with the heat treating of the oven. And you could only see it in certain light applications. But
I've had that issue with wine rooms before.
It's common in tempered glass, and it's fixable. It is fixable.
You can always see it when you're driving down the road and you look in the rearview mirror at your racks and the glass is on there and the sun hits it. You can always see it in your glass. Mm-hmm. It's the only time I've ever really noticed it, though.
But you notice not on every single piece of glass. And again, it's the way the light refracts off of it and the way it was tempered. So, like I said, if you get a customer that's complaining about it, it can be fixed just by retempering it and reorientating it when it goes into the tempering chamber.
Yeah, now that's if you got a fabricator that's a small enough guy that you got a good relationship with that you can work with. Yeah. Oldcastle won't touch it. I just have, they would probably remake it for me. But
yeah, we had a whole run from Oldcastle. They call them skunk marks that we would get from them because they were having a tempering issue coming to us. So we had a whole run for about a month where we'd get a piece or two per dozen that would have a skunk line down the middle of it, and they would just remake them. They rarely will take stuff back and rerun it because I guess it just slows down their process too much. They'll just remake the piece and send it to us. But it went on for a while.
Yeah, we had a problem with Coral at once when they first started the shower guard. The shower guard is on the glass almost like a coating, and it has to be tempered with the shower guard up off of the rollers. But if the guys in their shop weren't careful and they loaded it on the oven and they put the shower guard down, then the shower guard material would come off on the heat rollers. And then the next panels that would go through would pick up that shower guard. You would install it and your customers would have stripes in their glass. And it was because of that coating on there. Wow. It would steam up and you would see these stripes and they were roller marks on the glass. If you know it, at the quench, the rollers are wrapped with Kevlar and it's like a rope that goes around it and you would see the series of marks.
Mm-hmm. Good information. If I ever want to start tempering, I know who to talk to.
Yeah, but where I use that for is when you get those situations, you can almost tell your fabricator what's going on. He'll go, how the heck does he know that?
Right.
Right. I know. Well, I was lucky. I got to hire a guy that used to work at Oldcastle.
There you go.
It was like during, the beginning of COVID, they started letting some people go and he went with another company and I kept in contact with him and he said, yeah, we want to move back. And I said, well, let's talk. And so he knows like if there's a certain scratch that's a straight line, a couple inches from the edge, he says that's because they grabbed it off of the rollers too soon and they hit some kind of bar or something. So it's like he knew, some stuff that I would have assumed maybe my own guys did in the shop or something, or couldn't pinpoint where the scratch came from. And it's kind of cool that, he has seen the equipment and he knows what's going on and he sees like scuffs that might be kind of like things you're describing. And I would have never known.
Sounds like insider trading, Brad. Sounds like insider.
Right. Yeah.
Well, back to shower guard. It has a protective coating on it. When you first get it, it looks like a gray piece of glass. And when they run it through the oven, it burns it off.
Right, but that coating is put on with like a film, a very thin film.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is if you temper it upside down, the residue of that film comes off on the rollers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shannon, are you using shower guard at all in your shop?
Are we what?
Using the shower guard product at all in your tempering?
No. And so I have two reasons and they're pretty dumb reasons. First off, the first time that we used it and that, you're talking about the stuff that's baked in, right?
Yes.
The first time we sold it, we weren't fabricating. It was from someone else. And we had this, you know, the engineers are the worst, engineer homeowner. And he's like, I don't think it's on there. My glass is dirty. Prove to me that it's on there. And we're like, what do you want us to do? So we had to have the shower guard people come out. It was a whole big mess. And you couldn't really tell it was on there. So we were like, I don't know about this. But I'll tell you the dumbest reason we don't do it is exactly what Bill was saying. Do you guys ever get, you know, you order a piece of rain glass and they made it the opposite direction, your miter's opposite?
Yeah.
New rain glass, you have to cut it upside down, you have to put it the right direction, you have to do all this stuff, and there's this percentage rate of error that I don't want to have to deal with. And so instead, we got the Diamond Fusion Cube. And so the fuse cube, you put it in the cube and it atomizes the stuff, so you don't have to put it in by hand, and it goes both sides. So I just really like that product, but kind of dumb reasons we don't like the shower guard.
Right. Well, one of our small fabricators in town is actually pretty big, and they made it in the list of best fabricators in the magazine that just came out. I know that he got rid of it because there's actually a expiration date on shower guard. And so if it stays around in your shop too long, you know, they won't warranty it or something. And so I don't understand that.
Wow.
But I think he ended up selling it like a fire sale almost at one point, and said he's not dealing with it anymore. So
yeah, who needs the little issues? I mean, just code it.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when people ask for that. That's what they want specifically. They want shower guard, and it's just the weirdest thing. I don't get it, but you know.
I always tell them Rain-X is cheaper.
Yeah, Rain-X. It's good. Good stuff. Put a little car wax on there.
Yep.
You know.
Well, I tell you, you know, we've had good luck with like I used to use Clear Shield. I like the product. It's on my personal house, and it seems to still be working after about 7 years. Of course, I take care of it, and other people don't, you know, care about their showers. And we use EnduraShield now. I think so far I like the product. So that would be a nice topic in the future to maybe talk a little bit about coatings.
Yeah,
and what other people, you know, experience.
Let's see if we can get some reps from some of the coating companies to come in here and talk at the same time.
You know what? That's a good idea. I'll invite some. Maybe we should talk about
Cardinal C10.
That would be very entertaining, I think.
It would.
Let's see who's the bravest. We'll find out who really stands behind their product the most. Come on here and talk about it.
Oh, Guillermo from Diamond Fusion, he'd need the whole hour.
Yeah. I'd be hitting the mute button all the time.
Well, the Diamond Fusion is like a two-part, and I think the first part must be applied probably to give good adhesion for the second part, and I'm just guessing.
Well, what they say is that the first part actually goes into the little crevices in the glass and creates a bond that makes it even stronger. And then the second part goes over the top of that. And the other people only do the second part. Of course, you know, that's their sales spiel, and that's the deal.
Right.
It's like when you go through the car wash and your car gets exposed to the flashing blue light, and that does some magical thing to your car,
right? Right.
Nice.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for showing up again. It's always great to see you. I look forward to this, and I hope you'll come back again next Wednesday.
Very good.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.